All right, going live this time. Of course, we're on YouTube, and the reason is because for some reason Restream is acting up. So that sucks. It's like they're saying they're having an AWS failure and whatever. So no, I'm trying to make sure I've got the right mic on. I got the right camera on. Let's share screen so that you guys can see me. Okay, not share screen. Um, can you add another camera? Hello. First person to drop in. Yeah, my camera's on the desk. I like to sometimes add another camera, a second camera, so you can see the desk and me. But I guess you can't really do that on YouTube. So I could be like, "What's up, guys?" I could like do a Gary and like put it way down here, so you're looking at my nostrils, and I'm like, like saying silly shit like, "Is Mulligan? I think that's his name. Is Mulligan a better DM than Mercer? Let's talk about that." The answer, of course, is no. You're insane. The other answer is my house is moved. I destroyed my house. I moved it up next to the shield wall, and it's just a giant black pyramid, right? So my house is good because I've paid my rent, but I did not pay rent on the garage, which I believe is your house, sir, Mr. Marine Corps guy. Handle your business because they keep thinking I need to pay him 12 grand. Crafting Gamer, what is up? Look, I'm on YouTube Studio, which is like, baby's first freaking live stream. So I can't invite people. I can't do shit. This sucks. But why? It's because the goofy ass shit I normally use, excuse all my explicitives or whatever, has decided that they're just not working today. They're taking the day off or something. There's Bubba. Hello. Bubba. Hi. The numbers next to your names just mean when you showed up, basically. Because normally how those crowns work is whoever gives me the most money gets the bigger crown. Except, guess what? I'm not monetized, so you can't give me money. Even if you wanted to, you can't do it. Of course, one of these days, like if I ever break an average of like 30 people on a live stream and everybody's cool with it, maybe I will. See, that's scary. Oh, but by the way, look at all my miniatures, man. Yeah, that Valkyrie's getting sold. The Great Unclean one's getting sold. The anime chick in the bikini, she's not getting sold. But my mom wants her because she wants to like stitch a miniature kimono to put on her. I printed that out just thinking, it's a big boobied anime chick. It comes in like 20 pieces. I'll print it out and put it together, see what it is. And, I never finished her eyes or anything. I don't look at her too much, but every now and then it is nice to look up and see, a beautiful big boobied anime chick. I'm not going to lie. I mean, this is one thing I think my wife has come to grips with is I like boobs. She may not love it, and she might think, "Damn, I wish my husband wasn't so obsessed with boobs." But yeah, I'm one of those guys. I like boobs. Even though honestly, everybody knows that butts are superior. I mean, women with big boobs, a lot of times they think that's their personality, and You gotta dance the dance of love to earn money. I do. Well, because you know my wife. You know how she is. I gotta do the dance and like put on my jester's hat and be the court jester, and then a lot. Oh, so that's what it is. Amazon Cloud Services are screwing up. Yeah, I mean, I can show you. I mean, some people have seen a lot of this stuff before, but so Baba Yaga's hut. Next to it is Guts, and then the winged thing that's Sanguinius, and he is surrounded by Gugs. If you don't know what Gug is, it's a monster from H.P. Lovecraft that lives in the Dreamlands, but I guess there might be a ritual that could bring it into the real world. And then, of course, you can see Nosferatu Zod in his full-on apostle form, a plague rider. That's actually a leader. He's got the bell and shit. A UH-1 Huey, because, you know, I kind of flirt around with playing Twilight 2000. So I've got like up there, you can see on that top shelf, there's like 113s, another Huey, a shit ton of different Allied and Warsaw Pack tanks. And then again, my girl in her bikini. And next to her, a purple Mad Cat. And I will never use it because the clan sucks. And then under there, I've got like a whole unit of Draugr, my dip, which I haven't even opened, a big sea serpent. And then next down, you see dragon ogres, a whole unit of them, and then a bunch of Lovecraft stuff, and then more Draugr, because why not, right? And then going down another one, we've got our ancient fertility goddess, and behind her is Sithagwa, and then another Guts. It's a different pose, though. And then moon beasts, the great race, catapult for Battletech, a space marine, blood angels commander with power axe, griffin not painted. I do have a griffin painted. Great. I think these are the great old ones or the old ones or whatever, the winged barrel things. The shadow, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Well, the shadow knows. And then on the side, these are all magnetized. You've got Demon and Otyugh and Paradon, one of my favorite monsters, Uni, the unicorn, but grown up. And this right here, I've showed before. This is my gigantic Ironborn army for the Game of Thrones war game, which is a very cool war game. And I need to get up off my ass and paint my Lannister and Stark forces so that, I can invite, say, Windrunner over and be like, hey, you want to play Lannister or Stark? Because no one plays the Ironborn but me. And then, okay, down here, let me move this for a minute. I've got some of the apostles from Berserk, like Slan. And then Hungar, but he's a fire giant. And then, of course, there's a winged rider back there. That guy right there is from Talos Atlanta. I know you can barely see him, but it's a thrall. And then all the black wings in the back there, they're night gaunts. Got a shit ton of night gaunts hiding out back there. This guy I need to paint up and use as a supervillain, I think. And then you can see painted here is Alexander the Great. Some people, might want to be like, well, was he great? Yes, he was great. As a matter of fact, the greatest. Or no, here's Alexander. This is someone else. And then, of course, I've got Freyrin from the anime because she's adorable. I mean, a little elf wandering around. Come on, Freyrin. More of Alexander's companions, not painted. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend. Some of you, I'll bring him a little closer just so you. That's right, the Goblin Slayer. Because the only good goblin is a dead goblin. And it's time to go make some goblins good. And then, like a hot pinup model, female, you can tell because she's got like gigantic, let's move back, gigantic boobs and everything like that. But instead of just making her a pinup, I glued a sword on her, put a spear in her hand, threw a shield on her. So yeah, while most of her ass is hanging out and she's got comically huge boobs, she could still be used in a role playing game. And then down here, this is junk. This is, well, not junk. See, there's my icon of Christ that I look at all the time. But this is stuff I want to work on and I haven't got to yet, like the cowgirl in bikini with the big butt and boobs. Now, some people are going to be like, hey, wait a minute. Aren't you Orthodox Christian? That's probably a sin, right? And the answer is, yeah, probably is if I were to like lust after this and like masturbate and stuff, but I don't. I just think that she's pretty and I want to paint her up really good. And then my mom is probably going to take her and actually make a dress for her because that's the shit my mom does. You know what I mean? She takes all my sexy pinup girls and puts like, respectable clothes on them. And then this over here, of course, this is an ATV for Star Frontiers. I don't know if you guys remember, like in Star Frontiers, their ATV vehicles that they use for exploration are these big boxy 4-wheel drive trucks, and each tire has its own specific engine that's directly freaking, and of course you can mount weapons. There's top hatches, you can mount weapons on it. So yeah, just show off a little bit. And then of course there's, just miniature cases full of miniatures, a whole freaking sci-fi city over there, really. And that giant Tiamat statue I still haven't got to, but I will. You can see I've got my Crusader dice for Saga. Not that I've got anybody to play the game with me, but I've got them. And then down here, let's move the instructions. Working on my Blood Angels. These are all like Thunderhawk gunships and drop pods mostly, and rhinos. And of course, a Dark Mechanicum Stalker guy. And then I just built a whole bunch of brand new. These are Mechanicum assault tanks. They really shouldn't be in this box. But I did just build a ton of new Imperial Guard transports and another squad of 4 Leman Russ tanks. They're cheap, so, what else? This is how my desk is. It is a mess. I mean, I've got this little drawer thing here that I thought would help me organize stuff. It doesn't, And here's all my paints. Yeah, that's why when you're watching my videos and I'm scrabbling around, I'm like, where's my freaking paint at? And then this right here is a post-apocalyptic car. And you can see I'm going to have to fix the parts where I screwed up the blue a little bit. But I'm painting the body blue and then the roof yellow. So that kind of looks like the Mad Max cars that he drove before he decided to get the V8 Interceptor. And this bad boy is just going to be painted black. Probably actually a German gray black. And then, it's going to be all beat up. You see how it's got chains and welded metal beds and, all that sort of stuff on it. Why do I have these? Because I thought, and I may still yet run cities or Ashes Without Number. And in Ashes Without Number, when you want to determine a player's starting gear, one of the ways you do it is you have them empty their pockets. And if they have car keys, then they have a car. So it would be really easy to play a post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max game, except add like, radiation mutants, rad scorpions and radiation mutants and, and I'm thinking because that game gives you like 20 different scenarios of how the world ended. And I'm thinking I'm going to use all of the scenarios at the same time, which means, zombie plague, um, World War III, nukes and biological weapons. Yeah, I'm pretty much just going to say everything bad that could happen did happen about 100 years before the game starts. And then the players, they know the bad stuff happened. Oh, by the way, this is my pile of shame. As you can see, yeah, I got maybe a little too hardcore into Legion Imperialis, because these are the kits I have not built. And I've already got, like, once I finish painting it, a fully functioning Imperial Guard army that's just ready to go. I've already got knights. I've already got, I don't know, I think I bought 3 of these kits and then 2 of the Ruin kits. And the last of the 2, the normal kit and the Ruin kit, I just combined them to make just big ruined buildings. And to paint them, I picked up Army Painter Wolf Gray. That'll be a good base paint, and then I can dry brush them up however I want, And then for my Imperial Guardsmen, I got Army Painter Necrotic Flesh, which is a good base color, and then I throw the washes on them and a little dry brushing, and boom, Bob's your Scudder. Get that shit painted up and ready to go. I did get some red, but I don't think I'll use it for the Blood Angels. I will use it for my Mechanicum guys, who are also red, except for, of course, the Stalkers and Swarmers and stuff. They're black. As you can see, here's a couple of just little bits of terrain that come in the Ruins box. And I was just painting it up, and like this, I'm going to go a little heavy with some rust effects. I have the Tamiya Accents rust effects, and just put rust on all of the I-beams and then dry brush that concrete. Hey, Leth, I wish I could invite you, homie, but I am on the YouTube Live. So this sucks. If you can't invite people on YouTube Live, I don't know how to do it. Maybe you can, though. Engage with audience. See, no. Oh, I can do this, though. Look at that. This is cool. I can be like, I sending out hearts to you. I say hello. I hear you and see your desk. That is how I like it. And then, of course, as usual, I am dressed up like a Gothic. So, yeah, this is not the most popular thing, but it is what I'm going to do. And today I'm going to build something totally different while I'm waiting for that guy. Bear. Yeah, unfortunately, Bear, my normal bullshit that I stream with is down. So I'm on YouTube, and that sucks because I can't actually invite people or anything. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be inviting Leth, Not Windrunner, though, because he's ex-Marine and my bro, and I'm not inviting him. He can deal with it. He was working last night, which is too bad. He missed some good board game action. The Canadian Bear. Maybe if they fix, I guess the cloud is all effed up, and as a result, it's causing like restream and everything to be stupid. All right, nice. Yes, guys, I had to do it because I had to. And if anybody says anything about it, I'll say, look, part of my diagnosis with extreme levels of PTSD is I have to really watch myself, or I become a impulse buyer because every time I open a box, I get that hit of dopamine, right? And that's awesome, right? That's like better than the drugs they give me. So here is the Questoris Knight banner, which is going to be 3 guys. So that if I wanted to play it with Titan Legion, I could. It's got the cool Titan Legion symbol. So I'll set that over here next to the Cerberus Stalker tanks. Which, how many come in this? 4. So yeah, if you use these in freaking Titan Legion, you get 4 of them. So more like armigers then. Here is, of course, some 40K artwork letting you know what you're working on. And then the instructions, which are important because unlike the old days when you could just clip all the pieces out into a big ass pile and do whatever you wanted, these new models have to go together like a very specific way. And also, depending on which weapons you put on them, that determines their chassis. And each of these kits builds like 3 different chassis. So, you know. Now, the good news is you can mix up the weapons. They all don't have to have the same weapon and everything. So here you go. You got the Knight Paladin. It's got the autocannon and chainsword. The Knight Errant has a flamer and chainsword. The Knight Warden has the rotary cannon and chainsword. The Gallant's got a power fist and chainsword. So that guy just wants to fight. The other Knight Gallant ditches the chainsword, just has 2 power fists. Okay. And then the Knight Warden has the rotary heavy stubber and a power fist. I like the Knight Warden, actually. I'll probably mix them up, though, because you can. But I'm a fan of the Knight Warden. Something with the super heavy bolter and the freaking, you know, the fist, you know. It's like, I'll name my Knight Warden, Fistendantilus. Or to quote Dr. Krieger, it does more than fist. See, you know, you real like, here's all a weapon sprue for it, and here's body parts. All you real ones out there that watch Archer, you'll know who Dr. Krieger is and how he's constantly trying to make robots that do things. Like the Fistomatic or the one robot that just chokes you out, which what's her name kind of fell in love with, Charlene. I can't show it off because it hasn't arrived yet, but I have a Charlene coming in the mail. Or Cheryl, or whatever the hell she goes by at any particular time. But the the model I have is 32 mil scale, and it's her when she decided to be a country singer. So she's wearing like the Daisy Dukes and the tied shirt, and she's got like a guitar in her hand. And to me, that is just absolutely hilarious. So I had to have that. I could see running Ashes Without Number and maybe one of the girls at the table picking her to be their character. You know what I mean? To represent their character. Friggin' coked out Charlene. All like with all of her personality issues. Living in a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, that could be actually a lot of fun. Let's be honest, guys. That could be a lot of fun. It really could. You know? She was a fun character. Early on, when she went out on a date with Archer, and Archer's like, I'm just going to pay the tip. And then later you see him naked in bed, and Archer's like, just the tip. She's all like, got this horrified look on her face. It's like, Archer, What is up with you and your like fascination with the butt sex? Calm down, you know? It's not good for you. You end up with hepatitis. Beep. My brother posted all the new memes on my private gamer channel. So, hey guys, it turns out that if you want to be in a meme depicted as, something horrible, join me on a live stream and be entertaining. Or just make fun of Bear. Apparently that works. Or not Bear. Not Bear. Shadow. Shadow. Sorry. I got to get right. So, yeah. That's how you end up in one of my memes. You join the stream and then you rag on Shadow about him being gay or something. And then the next thing you know, I open up my Discord and there's a meme and you're in it. Now, some of you may not want to be in any memes, and I totally understand that. In which case, I don't know if you want to join my streams anymore, because the guy who makes these memes is literally the only guy that I know for a fact watches every minute of my show. Because some of those memes are deep cuts, you know what I'm saying? Also, apparently, he's not a huge fan of Condor DM, because he's always showing Condor in really like just situations that maybe I don't know if Condor would want to be shown in, or maybe he would. I don't know. I mean, it's like, Satya, what is up, my homie? Yeah, I'm using YouTube for the nonce, because my standard streaming program is not working. And when I went to it and I'm like, I'd like to do a stream, it said, no, you can't. I said, why? And it said, because AWS ain't working. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, man. What does AWS even mean? I don't know. But, yeah. Well, at least people are popping in and giving me the old thumbs up. That's nice. Appreciate it. I have to admit, this stream, while I do a lot of stream of conscious talking and rambling and various other insanity, if you're not into me building 40K shit, this is going to be a stream that you're going to be like, yeah, this sucks. And the thing is, I'm okay with that. I'm not offended if you're not into 40K, you don't like the miniatures, or you just don't want to watch, an old man boringly putting together, tiny overpriced plastic miniatures. I get it. Believe me, I will not be offended if you decide to use your time in a better way. And by a better way, I mean literally anything else on the planet would probably be a better use of your time. Like, literally playing in the highway would probably be a better use of your time. But here's the thing. You know how I'm always talking about, for this game, I'm looking for cost-effective ways of building an army, right? Well, it turns out that the Knight Army, because you can add Titans to it if you get the right amount of points, might actually be the cheapest damn way to start an army, because you only need 50. Yeah, you need around $200, maybe $250, depending on how crazy you're trying to get with it. At which point you will have your, 3,000 points worth of army. Of course, I'm counting the idea that you probably already burnt, like you already had the box set, because I mean that's where you're going to get a couple of Warhound Scout Titans, and The other good thing is the night houses can be taken right alongside of every other army, whether loyalist or non-loyalist. You just change whether the night house is loyalist or not loyalist, and boom, the next thing Bob's your Scudder, and you've got some knights. So you can play Space Marines with the contingent of knights. So yeah, it ends up that the knights are maybe the most I think I'll make a paladin. It looks like the paladin has 2 hull mount heavy stubbers. I like the paladin. But it turns out that like a lot of the armies I do talk about, the Questoris Knight Army is kind of like just go nuts, you know what I mean? They can ally with Mechanicum. They can ally with freaking Space Marines. If they're non-loyal, they can ally with bad guys and the Dark Mechanicum and all that sort of thing. So they're a really effective use of money. Satya ordered some Reaper miniatures yesterday. Yeah, me too. No, mine already came in because Reaper delivers very quickly where I live. And I think I already showed these guys off. I still need to do like detail like the knee pads and stuff, but it turns out Reaper Miniatures makes a figure that will 100% be useful as a Usarian. The only difference is this guy's got tail. But I mean, okay, so what? You can say that some Usarians got a tail, It's just a thing, like a throwback, I mean, kind of like how sometimes a human will be born with a little bit of a tail, right? You can say that when you're playing Star Frontiers, if someone chooses to play this character, you can just say, hey, there's my brother. That's right. What up, my N-word? People are like, wait, what? Yes, I refer to my brother as my N-word. If you guys weren't all here and I wasn't live, I would actually have said the actual thing, but I'm not sure how YouTube would feel about it. They might think I'm being like super racist or something when in fact I'm just showing endearment and love to my brother. Now, I don't say that around his kids, obviously, because that would be rude. And, if I caught somebody being mean or racist towards my niece, I mean, I'm sorry, I might have to kick somebody in the teeth with my new steel-toe boots. But I don't know. I think it's when we were young and we listened to NWA all the time. It affected us mentally, So yeah, I think I'm going to blame NWA. I'm going to pull a Goldie looking chain and say that, guns don't kill people, rappers do. I saw a documentary on BBC Two, right? So yeah, I kind of think that's the thing. Since Hungar and I spent so much time like listening to NWA, Nas, freaking Beasties, and things like that, we kind of got to where we adopted parts of maybe that culture that I guess we really shouldn't, but we did. You know what I mean? So, like, when he and I would meet when we were very young, of course, we would dap it out, give each other the bro hug, and be like, what up, my, And some people will look at you weird about that, right? But at no point did I ever consider it to be like me saying a slur or something. To me, it was like saying, what up, my brother, What up, bro? Which is probably what I should say, just to avoid the whatever. But I ain't got to worry about down here in Florida because nobody's going to say anything if I did it or not anyway. You know, that's one good thing about Florida. People like they're all like, oh, whatever, you know, and they move on with their lives. Like I was talking about the other day, I'm lucky enough that I live in such a like beautiful little town, well, suburb. People don't mess with nobody around here, you know. And it can be because everybody's armed, or maybe like people around here. I mean, we're like Caucasians are actually the minority, right? But no one gives a shit. It's not like people are like standing around giving a shit about it. No one cares. So it's like, you know, see, I picked that guy up, and as soon as I picked him up, I saw some things I meant to paint. And so I immediately stopped working on the night so that I could, because that's how my brain works, man. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to self diagnose because right now I only know of two diagnoses that I have that doctors have actually given me. And ADHD is not one of them. But I have a tendency to, like, you know, if I'm sitting here and there's a miniature on the desk and I'm already sitting here painting, and then I'm like, oh shit, that guy needs this, that, or the other. A lot of times I'll put aside whatever I'm working on just to fix that miniature up so that he can be ready to go into the box. So what I did here is I did the armored parts of his vac suit. I painted his backpack, which probably should get some shading on it. And I'm gonna have to take some yellow and fix some parts where I went over, because these are the brushes I paint with. I paint with like number twos, round number two, which a lot of people, you know, they're like, how do you paint miniatures with such big brushes? They're like, well, if the tip's good, right? Just the tip, you can actually get all that detail as long as the tip is good. And the tip thing also, I know it's filthy and I shouldn't say it. It's not a good Christian thing to say. But David Allen Cole actually is who I'm going to blame, because he has a song. If you've never heard it, David Allen Coe's "The Three Biggest Lies," and it's basically, um, I promise I'll only put the tip in, and this will only hurt for a little bit, and under no circumstances will I ejaculate in your mouth. And that's the three big lies. And David Allen Coe wrote a whole damn song about it. Of course, he wrote some pretty wild songs too. Like, it's like they're racist, but they're kind of not racist, because he's talking about going fishing with his black friend, but then all he does is talk about how bad his friend stinks. So it's like, you know, he's best known for "You Never Called Me by My Name." And also, he wrote all of Tanya Tucker's music, basically. He wrote a lot of people's music. The music he put out was always edgy as shit, though. Like one of them is "If That Ain't Country, I'll Kiss Your Ass." Because, you know, I guess somebody accused him of not being country enough. So he sang a song about his childhood and growing up and, you know, basically being dirt poor and all the shit he went through. And the chorus is, "And if that ain't country, I'll kiss your ass." And he's a wild man, you know. That is some of you guys are old enough to remember. Some of you aren't even from this country, so you never knew. But there was an era in country music that was called outlaw country. And it was pretty wild, man. Let's just say it's pretty wild. That was when country music stars started singing about all of the pot they smoked and, you know, shit like that, because they were just like, yeah, we're just doing things over here now. you know. So let's just get it on. We're singing about smoking weed and getting into bar fights, and of course Hank, because there is a rule: you cannot have a song and classify it as outlaw country, like unless you mention Hank Williams Sr. It's kind of like the thing, because a lot of the guys who got into the outlaw country move, including Hank Williams Jr., they were all like drawing their inspiration from Hank Williams Sr. Hey, look at you, Hungar. You got the number one place crown. You are the king, the Burger King. If you go into a Waffle House and you tell the waitress that it's your first time ever in a Waffle House, they will give you like a little hat to wear that has the Waffle House logo on it and everything. Isn't that nice of them? That's pretty nice of them, I think. Now I got to pick which head I want to put on these assholes because each of the different models has a different head. So now looking at my book. But yeah, just see, they wouldn't believe me. If I went in and I was like, oh yeah, this is my first time at Waffle House, they'd be like, you're lying. I'd be like, I am. Sorry. And they'd be like, it's okay. We still love you. But, I was watching, Bear and I was talking about this, but last night, my wife and I were sitting down and we were watching like English people who come to America, and they were like going to try to sample American breakfasts, and they went to Waffle House and they went to Cracker Barrel, and they're just like, basically making the comparison. Of course, Waffle House won by like, a mile. But I've never been like a super fan of Cracker Barrel anyway. So while it was funny watching them implode because, they DEI hired some chick and she ruined their whole business. And I always think that's hilarious when it happens. I never much cared for their food that much anyway. Like if I were out and about and I had the choice down home between, hey, you want to go to a Waffle House or you want to go to a, Cracker Barrel, I would pick the Waffle House like every day and twice on Sundays for sure. I'd be like, yeah, we're going to Waffle House. And that's just how I roll, man. Like I run deep in the streets around here, and especially at the Waffle House. Like 100%. I have been known to arrive at the Waffle House in the AM for, various things. And you need to tell her she needs to come get the cookies and show off her granddaughter or her daughter. My daughter. She hasn't brought the granddaughter over yet. I'm all like, what the F, man? I want to see my granddaughter. What are you doing? I think that's a reasonable request, right? Show me my granddaughter. Let's see what the little munchkin looks like. Well, Hungar, I wish you could be on with me, though. I mean, I'll tell you what. Bear jumping in and calling us all a bunch of thirsty bastards. All I got to say to that is, look, man, even if it is true, you ain't got to say shit. Come on, You can't just be quiet sometimes and let bros be thirsty over redheaded vampire chicks. I mean, if my wife is okay with it, I mean, come on, don't put me on the spot like that. Not saying you were lying. I'm just saying, you know. See, Bear probably ain't here because he's like because he's working because he's a working man, and they call him the working man, and I guess that's what he is. Dun, 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 dun. See, I ruined a little bit of Queen, not Queen, Rush for him, so. He's probably like, "Shut up, James. You cannot sing. Stop trying to sing." And I'm me, I'm going to be like, "No, I'm singing." Like Bear might come around and he might be like, "James, you shut up." And I might shut up for a little bit, but eventually he'll go away. I'll be singing again. That's how it works, right? It's like, not intimidated. I'll be singing. Okay, a bunch of melt-a-guns. I don't need a melt-a-gun, though. I need another heavy stubber. And they call me the working man. I guess that's what I am. Down, 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 down. That's one of my favorite Queen songs. Rush. Why do I keep saying Queen? Who wants to live forever? Who wants to live forever? I can answer that question. Me. I want to live forever. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but that doesn't change reality, right? Like, if I could live forever, I would be all about it. Angry tabletop. What is good, James? Well, according to the meme guy that keeps posting memes on my channel, I am like the best rapper of all time. And apparently I eat more vagina than cervical cancer. I have a fan. He watches every one of my shows and he makes memes about them. And I've spoken to him in private, and he has told me that if the memes are offending anybody, he'll stop. And of course, because I'm Gen X, I'm like, nah, knock yourself out, bro. I mean, you're not gonna hurt my feeling with some memes, really, And as a response to that, he has just been making more memes. So, yeah, right. I got my own personal meme wizard, bro. So I've heard from a little mouse, and by a little mouse, I mean my brother, who tells me everything, that you and him have been tag teaming all of the 40K vacationers on Instagram and effing them all up. And so as a result, you've kind of developed a fan base, except they all hate your guts instead of like you. Yeah. And I heard about this, and I have to admit, for the first time ever, I was like, maybe I should go on Instagram. Because normally I'd be like, yeah, I ain't going on Instagram. Screw that. But then hearing that shit, I was like, yeah, maybe Instagram could be a thing for me, Go on there and just start regulating. Yeah. I found STLs. I blasted a few insults. That's all. I found some STLs for like Space King figures. So I'm like half tempted to crank up the old 3D printer and print out like an army of freaking Space King hate Marines or whatever the hell they are. And they're multi-part, so you can build a captain and you can build a sergeant and all that. So that to me that would be kind of fun, just and of course just use like one page rules if anybody's got a problem with that, just be like, well, I'm not playing 40K with you. I'll just use the one page rules and my hate Marines with hate monger and Ryan, and we're just going to run around and put globules in all the young boys and throw all the young girls into volcanoes. And there's not really anything anybody can do about it. So, you might as well just deal, right? And yeah. Damn it. That just is James gonna have to smack a bitch? Sometimes it feels that way. I like to call out all the thirsty simps and tell them to get some water. See, I leave them alone with being thirsty because, whatever. But I will say this. I was watching the Hate Marines the other day, and there was some chick that was doing like a review to them. And they actually specifically mentioned her in the video as people to like keep out of the hobby. But it's a joke, obviously, right? And she puts on like a big gray beard and she watches thing and she's all like, yeah, no women, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so all that aside, I don't know her name or anything else, but she's pretty cute. I was like, all right, she's cute though, and she's taken the joke very well. So maybe she's one of the few like cool chicks. I don't know. I mean, there's a few of them that pretend to be cool 40K chicks, but they're not. Like the Norn Queen, it's like, shut up, Norn Queen. Where's your husband at? Oh, I know where your husband is. He's waiting for you in that chair next to the hotel bed. Is that mean of me to say? I think it's very mean of me to say. I probably shouldn't say stuff like that, but sometimes you just got to say what you feel, You just got to say what you feel. And sometimes I just feel like some of these people who are online, these ladies, let's say, doing all this crazy shit, I just have to feel like their husband's got to be massive cucks if they're just going to hang out and let their significant others behave like that. It's like, they probably try to like justify it in their head by saying like, I'm just an enlightened man and I'm not intimidated by, blah, 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 whatever. But in my brain, it's like, no, you're not enlightened. You're a cuck. Your wife is online selling butt pics or whatever. And she's got like 1,000,000 40K nerds simping over her, and you're allowing it because it makes you money. I mean, basically, these dudes are whoring out their own wives, and it's like, I'm not a fan of that. I kind of think that's a negative way to be, but hey, whatever. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should get my wife to dress up all sexy and Like I'll write scripts about 40K and then I'll talk her into like being on camera actually talking about it. Like, Georgie George, what up, homie? And then, I can like pretend to be all super enlightened and shit and be like, you guys are just jealous because whatever. And it's like, dude, like, there's one person, like, I don't know if you know this person, Holy Diver, but since I'm being a bitter old bastard right now, this dude has like a really skinny black haired, like, girlfriend or wife. I don't know which. And sometimes she dyes her hair. And she's always talking 40K shit. But then she's always like laying across the game table and, acting a fool like that. And I mean, yeah, maybe I'm just too old and too traditional and whatever, but I'm all like, you are literally whoring your wife out. That's what you're doing. I mean, let's be honest here. And she's like super mid at best, but it's still that, but the fact that she's super mid doesn't change the fact that, dude is whoring his wife out. And I find that somewhat offensive, really. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't get it. It's like, you're supposed to respect your wife and protect her from the world and not let anyone see her butthole but you. And see, I'm being a little crass over here, but and I apologize for that. But this dude, like, and if you watch her videos, you 100% know who's writing the scripts and all that shit, right? And it's just like, I mean, I will say this: she's a good wife, I guess, to put up with all the tomfoolery. Because I know my wife will not put up with that kind of tomfoolery ever. Tomfoolery. What is there? I forget the name of that channel. I should look it up. But yeah, she always wears super stretchy, tight, like, pants so that you can basically see the freaking Arby's going on, and then she'll lay across the game table and talk about 40K and sometimes paint 40K or say she paints 40K. I don't know. And of course, right off the camera is her boyfriend / maybe husband / I don't know what, pimp, filming her in all these like completely like not appropriate ways. And that's the whole video. And what's extra amazing about it, like what I really love, is like she's got like 1 million subscribers, man. It's like, really? This is this is something. It's definitely something. So we got 40K. What would I put in? What would I put in to find that channel again? Maybe painting? And I don't know what else to add, So let's see. Oh, that guy. Eon's a battle. Yeah, he seems Like he should go get him some testosterone injections. It's like, now I don't hate him and I don't wish him negative, but he's definitely in need of some testosterone. Yeah, he's like, I bet you he's probably got the same T levels as a 150-year-old man. You know what I mean? And that's kind of sad. Okay, I'm not finding her. So, uh, so I'll just leave it at that. But so, Holy Diver, if you are still here, if you're not, I understand. I know you're working, but if you are still here, thoughts on Pantera? Yes or no? I mean, you're not going to change my opinion, but I'm just kind of interested. Thoughts on Pantera? What's up, William? How you doing, homie? We got George and William. People rolling in, rocking in. I appreciate it, guys, especially since I'm using YouTube, so I can't, actually, you know, be as whatever with you guys as normally I could, because YouTube really handcuffs me as far as not being able to invite a guest on, not being able to like share a screen, share loving your free time. Well, that's you got to do it. You got to do it, right? When you get your free time, you got to love on your free time. So, the worst thing about retiring is the fact that you don't have free time to love on anymore, because everything is free time, right? And I know a lot of people out there that are busy right now working their asses off. They're thinking, man, lucky. You don't have to worry about work. You can just do whatever you want whenever you want. And I'm here to tell you, well, okay, yeah. The first couple months, that's how you feel. You're like, oh my God, this is the best. I don't got to worry about what my boss thinks. I don't got to worry about dying in a fire or something. I can just do whatever I want. And then, like, after that first couple months passes, you start going stir crazy around the house, because you're bored, because you're so used to your job. And, you know, if you're not at the job, you're planning for the job, you're getting your laundry, your uniforms laid out for the job. And then the next thing you know, you're not on the job. And it's just like, and then especially if you work as a first responder, I assume, maybe it's the same for other careers, but it's like every time that third day comes up when you're supposed to be on shift, you get all freaking agitated, because you're just like, because you're supposed to be out there doing something, right? But you're not. And it's like, what the F? Especially if you're like me and you live literally a mile and a half from the station you used to work at. So every time the tones and the sirens go off, you hear it. And then you're just looking at the truck that you used to be in drive by, and you're just like, your imagination goes nuts, because you're like, well, where are they going? I wonder what kind of call they're going on. I mean, I can tell, like, if the engine goes first, it's a car accident, or, well, we call them collision. You're not allowed to call them accidents, because accident implies no one is responsible. So an auto collision, if the engine is in front of the rescue, it's an auto collision or a structure fire. If the rescue is in front of the engine, it's a medical call. So, at least I know that much, so I can kind of guess what's going on. Holy Diver must be working. I'm going to tell you right now, This Love by Pantera is one of my favorite songs of all time. I can't help it. People can say what they want to say. I love that song. I do have a complaint about it though. And Hungar probably knows about this because I tell Hungar everything pretty much, except, dirty stuff with my wife. I don't talk about that. But with girlfriends, I will, because I don't give a shit about them. I dated this freaky chick, and every night